Swordcraft Story 2 to me has to be one of my favorite games, and mostly just due to the gameplay and other aspects to it. I do think that it improves a lot from the first game, and I do think that overall this is the better game. But of course not every game is perfect, so let's get into why I like and dislike it. One of the main things I actually did like was the change to the crafting, and I think it makes the whole part better. You do need an item along with a shapestone, and depending on the item it decides what kind of weapon it is. Another cool thing is that you can actually dismantle the weapon and it transfers over some stats, so you can actually have really strong weapons later on, and frankly it can let you experiment with different weapons. Like say if you really like a certain weapon from a certain material, you can just dismantle a bunch of weapons just to get that beefed up power, and I do like that. It's a better version in the first game where you can just get just a weapon and it has the same stats no matter what. Another change I really did like it definitely had to be the upgrade system for the weapons. This game lets you upgrade weapons to further the stats with different materials, and actually if you have a special combination, it gives you a special skill for that weapon. These can range from a 3 to 5 hit combo, a range attack, or a spin attack, and then there are also certain skills that belong to certain weapons, and frankly this is also kind of cool just because it lets you experiment with different weapons. Another thing I actually really did like had to be the postgame, and I know it's pretty much the same as the first game where you go to new areas and fight new bosses, but the second game does add a boss rush mode with 2 characters from the game, and I really do like this just because again, it does give you extra content. And as well as the first game, I do think this game has some pretty nice characters. Characters like Owen, Byron, Tommy, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and a few others I actually did like. I also do think that all the guardian beasts in this game are pretty unique, and luckily all of them actually talk, unlike the first game. I don't really dislike any of them, or at least any of the guardian beasts, but I do still think that they did a good job on this aspect. The graphics of the game also really look nice. They're pretty colorful and detailed, and I also do think that the character designs stand out a lot. Next is the gameplay, and I think it's still pretty good. It's the same as the first game, and that pretty much means it's still pretty smooth and responsive. Along with that, it's still pretty simple to get into. This also lets you customize your stats yet again, so you can pick whatever build you want and just go with that. Then I also say it's a little bit harder in comparison just because the weapon durability stays the same, so if you started say with 120 and finish the battle with say 100, then it would stay at 100 until you repair it. This to me makes you actually think a lot more about like what weapon you're using and make you swap a lot more, and I always do like that. And frankly, the gameplay wise, this is probably one of my favorite games. As I said before, it's just really fun. But to me, there are still all some pretty annoying problems that I'll just get into right now. This one is a pretty big part to me, and that's the lack of originality in the main story. It's pretty much the same exact setup where you have to go collect 4 swords to steal away a giant monster that is coming back to destroy the world. And I do know that there are other events that make this feel a little bit different, but the same plot setup is still there. Like I do know there are stuff with Nina and Gabriel, but again, most of the plot is just the same exact thing as the first game, and I just think that really sucks. Then there's the upgrade system, or at least how unclear it is. To get the special attacks that I've mentioned, there's almost no way to tell what combinations do what other than maybe one NPC in the game, and from what I can remember it's pretty optional, and he really only tells you one combination at a time. And I feel that this is really sucky because there was only one NPC, and I felt that there could have been like other methods, like maybe you read books on weapons and you can see what does what, and maybe just have the weapon tell you what it does, or like maybe give hints to what it does in other areas, because frankly just having one side NPC doesn't really cut it for me. The thing that I really disliked had to be the grinding for materials for the weapons, and I think it's somewhat worse in the first game, and there were only 2 ways to get materials consistently, either by killing certain monsters or by fishing, and the killing monsters part has a drop rate so you can't get it 100% of the time, and by fishing there are only a certain amount of items that are there, and I know that some of them are pretty rare, but the fishing does take a while and it's kind of slow, especially if you just want to get the certain item just to get a certain weapon, and I do think that's annoying. I feel if there was an option to buy most if not all the materials in a secret shop somewhere, it could make getting the weapons a lot more easier. And I do know that the guy who sells you weapons for like the upgrade system does give you these items, but I feel like it would be kind of a waste just to waste them on weapons unless you can get them a lot more consistently. So again, as I said, I do wish that the shop thing was in the game so you can just buy these materials a lot easier. Frankly, I still do think that the story is the biggest negative aspect to me because frankly, again, it's very much just the first game, but in a different light. The gameplay, I still do say that it trumps the first game just because it's just a lot better and more free in a lot of different parts. But frankly, if I were to suggest which game you play, I'd say play the second one just because I feel it's a lot better. And I will say for the story, I don't think it's bad by any means, it's just unoriginal if you played both titles. But before we finish the video, let's go over the likes and dislikes. Likes, crafting system, upgrade system, good post game, nice characters, good graphics, and good gameplay. Dislikes, unoriginal story, unclear upgrade system, and a lot of grinding for materials. Thank you all for watching and see you guys later.